Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. It is now 39 minutes past 7 on a beautiful Friday evening. If you just tuned in, you missed out on a whole lot of the show. Well, the main part of the show, we're going to be chatting all things cricket once again. This time, we're going to be sharing a story of, let's say, a South African cricket icon. Well, we're going to be chatting to cricket umpire Allahudien Paleker. What does it take to be an international cricket umpire? Well, after his 15-year-long wait to be on the international stage, it eventually came to an end earlier this year when the Proteas took on India at the Wanderers Stadium. And ever since then, it's just been smooth sailing, if you want to call it that. I mean, his story is one that can inspire many across the globe. And that's why we have this segment of the show where we profile some of our international and local sporting athletes, icons, talents, and we can add match officials to the show. Allahudien, without any further ado, thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening. Such a pleasure and an honor having you on the show.
Jazakallah, thanks for the opportunity. Always my pleasure.
Well, I mean, jumping in, many people think that umpiring just happened overnight. What was your process like in order to become an international standard umpire?
Yeah, it's a very long journey, as you mentioned, a 15-year wait to become a test umpire. Umpiring and sport runs in the family. My dad and uncle are currently umpires. I've got two cousins who's following in our footsteps and have just started out. So, sport's been in our blood. I grew up on a cricket field or on a sports field playing soccer and cricket. And having played cricket myself at the highest, well, not the highest level, at first class level, played for Western Province and for the Titans. And when I retired, the natural transition was just to become an umpire and try and stay involved in the game and give back in a way. I started umpiring in 2006 and got onto Cricket South Africa's first class panel in 2009. And since then, I've just, climbed the ranks and, been patient. Only got onto the ICC panel in 2017 and only got my first opportunity for a test match in 2022, which was 5 years later. So it's quite a long journey. You've got to be patient and lots of hard work.
Many former players choose the route of becoming coaches or analysts or even broadcasters for that matter. What made you choose umpiring?
In my last season of playing, I did actually do a level 3 coaching I did a level 3 coaching with Cricket South Africa and thought maybe that's an avenue. I coached club cricket for 2 or 3 seasons, doing up the Allahudien Cricket Club Premier League team. And, you can put in so much hard work during the week and come on a Saturday, guy goes out there, swings across the line, and you have absolutely no control over that. And I just thought to myself, these are guys that are playing around with your career and you have no control over it. And I just thought that, umpiring, you're on the field there, you're responsible for the decisions that you make. You take ownership of that and you can basically set the path for your career.
You talk about setting the path of your career. If there's ever a physical example of what sabr could mean, it has to come down to you having such a long wait. And I mean, what kept you grounded and kept you positive in that 15-year wait to make the international stage?
Well, the higher you go, at this current point, there's only 11 elite umpires in the whole world. That means that 11 people do umpiring as a full-time job. The rest of us, we either contracted to our country's associations or we do other work on the side. For example, I'm a sports coordinator at Al Ghazali College here in Pretoria. So it's now off season, so there's no appointments from April to September. So you need to do something to keep yourself busy. There's, no cricket during winter in South Africa. We do sometimes get lucky where there's some academy tours and things like that that happen in the winter. In Pretoria, we're quite fortunate with the weather. Uh, by the end of July, beginning of August, we start playing cricket already, so there is some opportunity there. So you need to be doing something else on the side, otherwise, it could be a long wait for
Mm,
games. There is only 11 elite umpires, so there's a bottleneck at the top. So us guys in the next tier, which is, I think there's about 44 umpires in the next tier, of which 12 have made their test debuts in the last 2 years. So I would think that you've got the elite panel of 11, and that below that there's a tier of 12 umpires, and then the rest. So you just got to be patient and wait for your opportunity. And I'm a firm believer that when the opportunity comes, you have to be ready. You don't get a second opportunity to make a first impression.
mm. Now I'm gonna actually get into the nitty gritty. You don't get a second opportunity to make a first impression. Your first impression on international test cricket was insane. The intensity of that test match was hot. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more intense game to get into. And the crucial decisions weren't in the hands of the teams, they were on the shoulders of yours truly. How do you keep your cool when you know that you've got the entire globe watching you and a decision that you make could influence so many lives across the globe?
Look, we do have DRS, the decision review system. So players challenge your decisions. So you got to be spot on because they can challenge those. Going back to my debut game, it was against India at the Wanderers, and I knew there'd be billions of people watching, and I just tried not to put any pressure on me. Just do what I've done to get me to that point, and I
Mm,
mean there was lots of nerves, lots of butterflies. But the moment I stepped over that rope onto the field, my natural abilities just took over, and I just took it as another game, even though it wasn't. And I think at the end of the test match, I realized the magnitude of my achievement of, you know, stepping onto the field, representing my country, basically becoming the 57th South African Test umpire and 497th Test umpire in the world. Um, at that point, it didn't mean much. I thought it was just a number. But at the end of the test, the amount of messages I got and well wishes from people. In fact, I went off social media for the duration of the test, knowing that sometimes like you said, you could make a decision that cost somebody's careers, and I didn't want to have people on social media having a go at me and then having to step onto the field the next day,
mm.
or having that in the back of my mind. So I just went off all social media, and at the end of the test match, when I went back on, it took me a couple of days just to go through all those messages.
Well, I mean, yes, see, I think that's phenomenal because as much as it means to you, it means as much as it means to you, it means so much to the country as a whole because now you've got a whole next generation of players of the youth that's knowing that they could be the next Allahudien coming in and being an international quality umpire, being on the pitch, dealing with characters such as like Virat Kohli, for example. Even in the South African team, there's so many characters that you can mention. These are, let's say, players that you would on an ordinary Saturday sit and watch while you're chilling on your couch on a Saturday afternoon, relaxing. And now you're sharing the pitch with these players, even though you're their boss on the day. What was that like? How do you control egos when you're in an umpiring position?
I actually prepared mentally for that situation. I said, we know we had some issues with Kohli before, and I said, well, this is going to be my debut test. He's going to be the captain. He's definitely going to challenge me. Only to find out 15 minutes before the toss that he had a back spasm and wasn't going to play in that game. So all my preparation that I did now, I wouldn't say went in vain, but
Mm.
it's now I had to deal with an easier player who was now captaining the team, so he was new to it. So that made it a bit easier. Yeah, we do have a code of conduct, so players know about the code of conduct. So we just throw that at them if they misbehave. they know where to draw the line, and then if needs be, we cite them, and with international cricket you have footage available, so it becomes a lot easier to prove them guilty when the time comes.
Now that you've, let's say, stepped on to the international test scene, what do you have planned for yourself going forward, and what goals have you set for yourself as an umpire and also as just a cricketing loving person?
Yeah, look, firstly, you have to enjoy the game. There's lots of sacrifices that come, so you spend a lot of time away from home. For example, the India tour, I was away from home for 45 days without seeing anybody because it was in a bubble. So there's a lot of sacrifices. My goal is to get onto the elite panel. Now that I've got a taste of Test cricket, I'm not sure when the next opportunity is going to be, but like I said, when the opportunity arises, I've got to be ready. So South Africa's all their tours are away for the next few months. So the next big international tour for me will be next year when West Indies arrives in South Africa. So for the next few months, it's just to keep on working hard, focus on domestic cricket, get back into my routines. When we start again in September, I would have had a 4 to 5 month break. So it's always good. We look forward to those breaks because this last season has been taxing with the amount of bubbles and biosecure environments that we were in, and the tours were back to back, and then in between the international tours, we're doing domestic cricket. So it's been a good break so far, and I'm looking forward to the next few months. But just to work hard and keep doing well at domestic level and just maintaining my high standard.
And maintaining high standards, you've had a family, or you've got family that's also been in officiating and cricket officiating for that matter. Who are some of the people that you looked up to as a kid that you'd want to aspire to their levels?
Look, my dad has a massive influence on me. While I was playing, he was an umpire. So, we used to chat around the table on a Saturday afternoon. He'll talk about how his game went on the field from an umpiring point of view. And I would chat about how my match went, and we'll discuss, how things could have been better and, how to improve for next week. So he was an influence. And later on in my playing career, once I finished playing, while playing, I chatted to Mare Erasmus, and he was a big influence on making me take up umpiring sooner than later, because he took up umpiring uh, at a later stage. He carried on playing club cricket after he retired from first class. Whereas the minute I stopped playing first class cricket, I started umpiring immediately, and that obviously helped me because I had 10 years. I've got 10 years experience that guys my age wouldn't have because they maybe started umpiring a bit later. Yeah, so Marais is an influence, and I'm very good friends with Alim Dar. So we keep in regular contact, and we always chat. If there's anything I need to know, I always just message him or Marais. So those are the two guys that I look up to.
Well, it's nice to know that I've know people with international influence on my contact list. So we'll definitely be chatting in the future. I've actually got a clip for you that I'll actually share with you on social media after this. It was a bit of a crazy production. Couldn't get the clip loaded in time, but I will share it with you. Of also one of the people that you look up to. But Allahudien, look, we've got a cricket season that's, let's say, that's closing after the Fairrake international tournament just finished now. What do you make of cricket as a whole in South Africa and moving forward? Do you think that we're moving forward with the right talent, and do you think that our talent standards are increasing from ground level right up to make the selection pool easier at the top?
Look, this was the first season of the new structure, so I think we need to give it maybe another 2, maybe 3 seasons, just to settle and see the promotion relegation. I think it's good because then there's always something to play for. If you're in, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th, 37th, 38th, 39th, 40th, 41st, 42nd, 43rd, 44th, 45th, 46th, 47th, 48th, 49th, 50th, 51st, 52nd, 53rd, 54th, 55th, 56th, 57th, 58th, 59th, 60th, 61st, 62nd, 63rd, 64th, 65th, 66th, 67th, 68th, 69th, 70th, 71st, 72nd, 73r sixth or seventh position, you can't rest on your laurels, because if you get relegated, you go to Division 2, where as a player, your earning capacity is a lot lower in Division 2 than Division 1. So it's definitely going to be more competitive. I think the first year, teams were not sure. Most of the teams that were contracted were maybe coaches inherited teams that CEOs contracted. So I think maybe over the next season or two, teams would, now sort out their weaknesses and, sign players that they know they need some cover as all rounders, or they need some um, maybe opening bowlers or spinners, or for example. And so I think we've definitely got the talent in South Africa. It's just proven now that we had a 19-year-old playing in the IPL, and he set that alight. And there's many other examples like him in our domestic structures. It's just that they just need to be given more opportunity.
No, definitely. And I mean, there is a question from one of the viewers, very good friend, mutual friend of ours, Suleiman Moden, asking, what do you do to stay fit during the off season?
Well, I can tell you, when I come to Durban, then there's zero fitness, because the amount of food that he gives me, unfortunately, I cannot lose weight with the amount of food he gives me. During season, it's quite tough, especially this last season with the bubble. So you were stuck in a room, couldn't do much. You had limited use of the gym. We On non-match days, we were only able to go to the stadium, as that was the only biosecure environment that we could use. So you maybe go and do a few laps at the ground, but that's probably once or twice a week, because then you have match days. So it was a bit limited during the season. You're always traveling, so you're looking for rest time. During off season, I try and run 2 to 3 times a week. I'm quite a keen tennis player, so every Sunday play a bit of tennis, maybe Saturday afternoon as well. I do play a bit of league tennis as well. So just try to be out on my feet. But no matter what, the amount of fitness you do during the off season, when it comes that first game of the season, you can't substitute standing fitness. You just got to be on your feet for 7 hours. So you always feel it that first day or two, but once the season is in, then your standing fitness is okay. We don't have strict requirements.
And I mean, before we close things off, I'm sure that many of the listeners and the viewers want to know these kind of intricate questions. What's your pre-match rituals and routines that you have that you follow? We know some players like putting on the right boot before they left. What are yours?
No, nothing much like that. I actually remain quite, try to be quite relaxed. We don't have access to our mobile phones, so as soon as we enter the change room, we have to hand them into the anti-corruption officer. So you don't have phones, so we don't check social media and that. We're chatting with my colleagues, and maybe we're joking, or we chat about non-cricket stuff. 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes before start of play, that's when I really get switched on. Make sure I've got all my bells and whistles, my equipment, my counter, my markers, my book, my pen, all those type of things. So I basically switch on 15 to 20 minutes before the time, and then I try to remain calm on the field and just relax, but I don't have any superstitions or anything like that.
Well, that's an interesting one, and we're hoping that we could chat more about this going forward and as your career unfolds, because it's definitely one that, I mean, I'm intrigued with. The rest of South Africa is intrigued with, and I know that everybody will be following your journey as umpire very, very closely. Allahudien, thanks so much for your time this evening and joining us on Salam Media. We look forward to chatting to you again in the future, and hopefully before the cricket season starts, just to get your view on what's happening in the cricket scene, and also how you prepare to take on the season as an umpire, some of the goals you set for yourself and things that you'll be focusing on. But that's all we have time for this evening, unfortunately. Thanks so much. It was really a pleasure and an honor chatting to you. I wish you all the best for the future, and I hope that your career grows from strength to strength and you become on the international panel and you're a regular on our TV screens as an umpire, inshallah. I mean,
Jazakallah, brother. Thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward to chatting soon.
always a pleasure. That was cricketing umpire Allahudien Paleker giving us a bit of a background on himself and his journey as an umpire, and also what it takes to become an international standard umpire. He did make his test debut earlier this year against India when they came to town. And this was after a 15-year wait before making his international debut. Yep, 15 years. And now he's doing the things on the international stage, on the international circuit, and making sure he raises his finger at the right time and makes the decisions at the right time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for this evening. If you just tuned in, you can catch the entire show on Salam Media's social media platforms as well as the podcasting channels. If you missed any interview, you can go back and get it there. First up, we were chatting all things football. Then we moved on to chat cricket broadcasting with Lesego Pue, who was at the Fairbreak International Tournament. And then we ended off with international umpire Allahudien Paleker, giving us a bit of a background on what it takes to be an international standard umpire. Well, from myself, Dhake Dawood, and the team at Salam Media, thank you for tuning in. And we look forward to engaging and interacting with you. So interact with us on social media and tell us what you'd like to see in some of the shows going forward. We will definitely look at making that possible. For now, it's good night and goodbye. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have a great evening, everybody. And we're going to be out of here till next week, Friday. That's it from us.